Okay, I welcome back, everybody. My deepest apologize that I was in a little bit of a delay. I have some technical error and I don't know what it is because now I'm looking to a black screen, which is actually quite interesting because it's better than looking to my own face, by the way. So um, now was my phone working? So a lot of technology, a lot of technology. Welcome to the fifth webinar of Ocean Reef, where we will explain you everything you want to know about the Ocean Reef IDM and underwater communication systems. My name is René Huisman. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm the Director of Training, and I will be your host for this webinar. So yeah, like I said, 10 minutes delay. For a lot of people, the opportunity to switch in. Maybe some people left. I hope they come back. In previous webinars, we were talking about why you should dive in an IDM system, why it's more comfortable, why it's more safer. We discussed even some options, what kind of models are available. We were discussing even the accessories that came with it, donning and doffing procedures, how you can adjust the mask that is perfectly fitting your face. And the last seminar, we discussed a little bit of the skills that you will learn during a full face mask specialty. So these webinars are mainly based to inform you in general, not in detail. For all the little details, I strongly advise you to go to an Ocean Reef dealer, book a course, and you will go into the pool with one of their instructors and they will teach you everything you really want to know. So, good. What are we going to do today? We will discuss underwater communication systems because that's a nice feature that comes with an IDM system. What we will discuss is why and how we communicate in general. What we need to understand if we go into underwater communication devices. And of course, we will discuss a little bit what kind of equipment is available through Ocean Reef. So that's our topic of this evening. The webinar will take about 30, maybe 50 minutes of time. And of course, there is time to answer questions. Those questions, you can fill it in to the comment side of this page. And we have a backup team in San Diego. Urgent questions will be directly answered by Eleonora, and some of the questions may be still open. And even if you don't have the time to answer all the questions, don't worry, they will be answered also after this seminar. So, good. Let's talk about communication systems. What kind of systems do we have available, and why should we communicate underwater? Well, especially the last question is pretty obvious because this is what we do. If you go with your buddy and you swim, you communicate. And the best communication system you use up till now is correct, sign language. We all know that from our open water course. And during some specialties, we learned that even there is another way of communication, and that is making sound signals. Yeah? Even writing on slates is an option to communicate with your body. Another thing is, then you can see that a lot in technical diving, when they're going to the caves or other dark areas, they have those nice lights. They can give the okay signal or don't do it, or they point out something with their strong lights. And if you are familiar with public safety divers, they are pretty familiar with rope pulling. So one pull means something, 3 pulls means something else. And that's the way how they communicate to the surface. All of us, we heard about this before. But if you really think about it, all those communication systems we are so familiar with up till now, they have actually a strong limitation, a real strong limitation. By the way, by example, sign language. If I have to point out something, I point there. But what I really mean in that area, we don't know. So I point it out again. I say, no, it's not wrong. Point it out again. We can say, okay. We can say, it's not okay. We go up, we go down, stay to each other. So there is a lot of basic signals that we can do. But if it goes about details, we cannot do it because um, the amount of signals is absolutely too limited. Of course, nowadays on television, we see a lot of specialists who are very good in sign language, deaf talking, deaf language. But to be honest, that is not a skill that a lot of us divers know really what's about. So it's not a good option. And don't forget, for sign language, you need to be in light of sight. Yeah, line of sight. If the water is a little bit murky, or if I'm facing just the other side, you can sign whatever you want, but I will never get it. Okay? Sign language, nice, but strong limitations. The other one that we had, that was the sound banging. Well, we know that sound is traveling really, really quick, really fast in the water. And for that reason, we definitely will hear banging against the stairs or even banging on your tank. Or whatever kind of sound mechanism you are using. We know that sound is really strong in the water. But what is the limitation of sound? Direction. It goes so fast to our ears that we cannot point out where. And also here the vocabulary, so the amount of words is limited, really limited. Yeah. Then we have the lights. Perfect. You can do something with lights. But during the day, 12 o'clock, on the reef of the Maldives, you can probably even not see that your 3000 lumen light is switching on and off. So there you have a strong limitation as well. Writing on slates, perfect. You can exactly write what you want, but not everybody. Eh? Nowadays, people really had a hard time writing with all our digital writing that we do. So first of all, you need to be able to write on a slate. And then secondary, you need to be able to read underwater on a slate. And you need to stay close to each other. So it's a good communication, but with limitations. I mentioned one more, and that's the line pulling. Perfect. Limited signals you can do, and definitely not working at Melassa's Reef in Florida. It works for a professional diver, commercial diver, public safety diver, but definitely not for a recreational diver. So all the communication systems we use so far, they work, but with strong limitation. And now guess what? What will happen if you can use your voice as a communication system? Actually ask your body directly what you want or how you feel or what is important today or even where are you? John, where are you? No idea. John, where are you? Above you. Oh yeah, thank you so much. So even in terms of safety, there is a lot of advantage if you can use your voice as a communication system. It doesn't take away all the other systems we use. They're still there. Hand signals, perfect, but with a limitation. Using your voice, it is a good option. And it is all possible with an IDM system because you have some air in front of you. You have facial mobility, your regulator will not fall out, so you can use your vocals. Even when two divers are close to each other, like this, they can hear each other very well. Our human voice is strong enough to travel a small distance through water. But if the distance is a little bit too far, we need some technical solutions because our voice is not strong enough. So Ocean Reef in the program offers you two types of underwater communication systems. One is hardwired and the other one is wireless. First, let's take hardwired. Not that difficult, eh? It is like a traditional telephone line. So there is a cable from the surface going all the way down to the divers. There's a microphone, there is a speaker, and they can speak to each other without doing anything, like if you are on the old phone. Very clear. But again, it's a line, and a line is really not handy for a recreational diver because you want to have your freedom, don't we? So therefore, we need to take a look, and that's what we will do this evening, mostly in general, is we will look at the wireless systems. Wireless systems is also not that strange for us because it is actually working like a normal radio or not. But the system is something we know. Even our cell phone is working as a wireless communication device. But what for things do we need to know if we are talking about wireless radio communication underwater? Well, the radio communication is the result of electric charged radio frequencies, electric charged radio waves. And guess what? They cannot travel underwater. The easiest way to remember this is electronics and water. That's not a match. Okay? So the electric radio waves that is shared by cell phones or the radio will absolutely not work underwater. They cannot travel to water. So we were in need to find something else because close, okay, but as soon as you are maybe 3 yards away from each other, you cannot hear each other anymore. So we need something else. And then we went back and we thought, okay, sound is traveling really fast underwater. So we need to create something that creates a sound wave. Yeah? Sound underwater travels how many times? 4 times faster underwater. So we know it works. So what's available in nature? Well, the easiest thing to remember is the whales. Whales are making a vibration, a mechanical vibration of sound waves that can travel to water. Large distance, 1,000 kilometers or more. It's incredible. Yeah. So one whale to the other whale, they can absolutely create sounds that they exactly understand what is the meaning. Unfortunately, we don't speak whale. It was tried in the movie Finding Nemo, but no, we are not speaking whale, so we need to find something else. And for that reason, we went to the technology of ultrasound sound transmission. What does it mean? It is based on a vibration. And that vibration is created by a small device with technology based on piezoelectronic materials. For me, always a difficult word to pronounce. But actually, there is some electronics. It is charged and it senses information to a little device that is creating vibration. And that vibration is able to travel to water. Because we want to use it for information sharing, it needs to have a high frequency, otherwise it cannot carry so much information. So the frequency that we are using for our ultrasound underwater communication systems is 32,786 kilohertz. That's pretty high. Eh? That is so high that our human ear cannot hear it. And that's the reason why we call it ultrasound. For you, the most important thing that you need to remember is the communication devices are not working on radio frequency, but they are working on a mechanical vibration frequency that travels easy to water. That's the basic system. So if I'm going to take this unit as an example, this is the G-Diver GSM underwater transceiver. And it has a couple of components that you can recognize easily. On this side, we have a microphone. We call this a D-mic. A D-mic. This microphone is waterproof. So you can take off your IDM, like we explained last week, from your face at any depth without the risk that you damage the microphone. So this is the D-mic. And the D-mic is connected to something which is actually going to be in the mask. And here you can find a button. And that button you need to press while talking. So like a walkie-talkie system. So now the unit is on receiving, listening. And when I want to speak, I press the PTT, press to talk. Now the unit is transmitting. So the information goes to this little cable, to this magical box. A magical box that is fed by a 9-volt battery. Simple one like this. And then the information coming from the microphone goes through some electronics, and finally it reaches this spot. And this is the antenna. We have a kind of ceramic disc inside, and based on the piezoelectronic materials, this little disc can vibrate. Remember the frequency? 32,768. And that vibration is going to travel to water until the moment that it finds another unit. And here you can see the same device, the antenna, and now it's working as a collector of information. So he thinks, hey, 32,786 kilohertz, that's for me. And this little disc starts to vibrate, and that vibration goes back into the electronics. And then in the electronics, it is transferred to an underwater speaker. This is a normal speaker. In this situation, it is sealed, but there is a normal speaker. So from that normal speaker, I can hear actually my body speaking to me. And that is quite amazing. So now you want to know on what kind of distance these devices can communicate with each other. Well, question to you. I will give you a couple of seconds to think about it. 10 meters, 20 meters, 200 meters, 200 up to 300 meters, or in feet, 600 up to 900 feet. These devices can communicate with each other. That's amazing, eh? So think about the advantages that it gives you. The advantage, by example, that you don't lose your buddy so quickly anymore, because you can say, hey, buddy, where are you? On top of you, behind you, whatever, and you can find each other easy back. Yeah? This technology, of course, has also some things to take care of, to be aware of. One of them is that the transmitter, the antenna, likes to move in a straight direction. So the best communication is when two units are in the same line. When this was in a different angle, the signal will be a little bit weaker. It works like a kind of cone that goes out. Another thing important is that the direct line of sight can also be interfered by any object in between. It can be a wreck, it can be some rocks, it can be soft coral in between. So the signal is weakened by everything that comes in between. You need to take in consideration that that signal is subject of distance and density. How higher the density, how easier it is for the signal to travel to that density. The distance, of course, it's important. When I shout here, you can hear me. But when I move 50 meters back and I still shout, maybe you can hear me, maybe not. So that's the same situation. Also, my voice is an example of mechanical transportation of sound waves. Another thing that you have to take in consideration is the position of your eardrum. We all know as divers that your ear should be in a straight line. If I equalize it, your eardrum should be in a straight line. If I equalize it now, it will be a little bit bended outside, and I can hear that the sound is reduced until the moment I swallow or if I equalize, and then it's straight back again. Don't forget, underwater this is happening constantly. Maybe not in an area that you feel that you need to equalize, but it is constantly moving. So when you are using underwater communication devices and you cannot hear your buddy straight, try to equalize. It may help. Yeah. Also, surrounding sounds will influence what you hear. Also here, when I'm doing this speaks to you and there is a compressor next to me, dung, 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 probably you will not hear me that clear. Underwater, exactly the same thing. The sound of my inhalation, the sound of my exhalation, we think it's quiet, but it isn't. It makes a lot of noise. So when your body is speaking to you and in the same time you inhale or you exhale, probably the message is gone. So this is also something that you need to be aware of while using underwater communication systems. Um, like I said, the units are very, 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 very powerful. They can reach easily distances between 600 and 900 feet. You can imagine if you're going to try out your equipment in the pool, which is maybe, let's say, 39 feet square, that by the force of the transmission that is sent by the devices, there is a lot of reflection coming from the walls, from the concrete, from maybe the iron in the whole system. And then you will get a kind of echo. Actually, the transmitters are too strong for such a small environment. For that solution, Ocean Reef created this damper. And what is this damper doing? I can put this damper on the antenna, and actually the damper is just a layer of foam with small air bubbles. And do you remember what I explained? Ultrasound needs a high density to travel. Well, this limits the density. So using a damper, you can make a big difference in what you can hear in a pool. Probably you don't want to use it in the open water, because in the open water, the energy can travel really, really easy. Okay, so that is basically the basic things you need to know. Let's take a look at what other units we have. I just had it already in my hand. This is very similar to the GSM G-Diver. This is the G-Diver M101A. And what you can see is there is no wire. So on this unit, there is no microphone. Easy, you can only listen, you cannot talk back. Don't laugh, because I know some of you are already thinking this is the solution for me. No, I will not go into that. This is a perfect unit for, by example, an instructor or a dive guide who likes to stay in contact with his students. And for that application, for myself, my own unit is equipped with a retractor. So I carry the unit on my BCD. I am teaching. On the service, I give a very good briefing. I do a demo underwater. I ask the students to do the same thing. And at some point, I need to comment on them. The traditional instructor saves that for the debriefing at the service. But guess what? With my unit now, I can say directly to my student, good job. Try to do it again. Think about holding your compass steady, or other more complicated things like that you like to explain to your student in the water. So your student doesn't need to have a full face mask system, just dive with traditional equipment, but you as an instructor wearing a full face mask system with communication, now you have the opportunity to talk to your students. So that's one of the units that we have. Another unit that we launched recently at last DEMA, and everybody in the company is so excited about this, is the new Mercury system. The Mercury system, you can see it's now here installed on a Predator extender, but here you can see the PTT, the communication unit, and to make it a little bit more clear for you, I have a similar unit here, which is attached on a extender frame, because the extender frame is definitely something you need. You can see that here the whole unit is connected to the extender frame on the left side and on the right side. So if you are diving with a G-Diver mask, you do like to have an extender frame if you want to use the Mercury system. What is so strong about the Mercury communication system? First of all, it's a digital system. A digital system means that there is some electronics inside that can do some extra things. One of them is to make the sound that you hear and the sound that you speak a little more clear. It reduces the sound that you don't want to hear. That's all done by a kind of equalizer inside. The other thing that this unit can do with the multi-switch that is here installed on the PTT, I don't know if you can see it, but this is a multi-switch, and using the multi-switch you can go to a menu. You can switch to a second channel. Guess what? We don't only have the 32,768, But we have also 41,000 kilohertz as a channel as an option. And that actually is a little bit of a better channel. So if you have 2 units, you'll definitely like to communicate on channel 2. Another thing you can do with the micro switch is you can influence the volume. And that's handy, especially if you dive sometimes with a hood and sometimes without a hood. Because then the beep and the sound can be a little too strong and you can reduce it if you like. Third function is the DAT activation. DAT stands for Digital Activated Transmission, or with simple words, hand-free. So if you reach that setting, the unit is working by itself in a window of 30 seconds speaking, and then it switches back to 20 seconds listening. Again, 30 seconds speaking, 20 seconds listening, and so on until you press the PTT again. Then it's switching back to normal mode. Why is that handy? Maybe you like to communicate with the surface while you're working. You need 2 hands. Maybe you need to write. And in this windows of the DAT mode, you can actually talk hands-free. Yeah. So that's all done in the electronics. Another nice thing is, maybe you saw it already, we have 2 speakers, 1 and 2. So the information coming in on 2 ears, always better than 1 ear. Maybe this ear is not totally equalized and now the other ear will pick it up. So that's actually a very good device. Another thing that the people that knows the ocean communication systems, they often say to us, why can't you not do something with a rechargeable battery? And guess what? We did it. So here on the right side of the unit, with the right ear shell, you can find a rechargeable lithium battery with a mini USB cable connection. You can charge the unit in just 1 hour. After charging, it is good to go for the next 30 hours. Is that amazing? Last but not least, of course, this is sticking out a little bit, and you like to pack your IDM system in a nice traveling bag, and now you can easily fold the units inside so it's well and nicely protected. Yeah, you're right. We are pretty proud on the new Mercury system. But if you want to see it close and you want to know more details, please visit your Ocean Reef dealer. One unit I need to discuss as well is the GSM Cube 3. What is so different about this one? Well, here you have the electronic miracle. Here you have the traditional PTT, but here you can see there is another cable. And this cable I can connect to a hardwired system. So actually the Cube 3 is a mix of 2. Wireless, and if you have the logistics, put it into the land cable and you have a hardwired connection as well. So now you can start talking hands-free with the surface. And if you like to communicate also with other divers around you, you can still use the wireless system. Cube 3. Good. So, I mentioned that already a couple of times. You can not only speak from diver to diver, but of course you can also you can also communicate with the surface. And for surface communications, we have 2 devices. One of them is the M100. And let me lift it up a little bit so you can see it. This is the M100. M100 is a headset with a microphone. It has a little box that you can easily clip to your belt, and the box has also the traditional PTT because the system stays the same, press to talk. Yeah. And then we can find a 10-meter long cable, and at the end of the cable there is this antenna or transducer, and we put this in the water, follow the cable to the surface, to the boat, to the dinghy, whatever, and now from the surface you can talk in the water, you can talk with your divers underwater, maybe your dive guide, maybe your instructor, you can share information about safety, you can share information about logistics, and it's very handy to actually be in contact with your dive leader. Who doesn't have that in the past? That you have 6, 7 instructors in the water. Something happens, you like to get them out of the water, but you just need to wait until they finish the dive. And now you can just say, hey guys, da 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 da, this is happening, it started snowing, the wind is picking up, I'd like you to end your dive or come back. Very easy. If you have a little bit higher budget, you can also go for the M105. Sorry, I need to reach out because it's all the way in the back. This is a more powerful land unit. It has a hand mic, as you can see. It has a built-in speaker. You can even put a headset on it, so you will not disturb by surrounding sounds. This unit is rechargeable. You can charge it from the wall. You can charge it from your car. It is pretty steady. It has a volume button. And yeah, this unit is also available as a double channel unit. The M105 digital, but you have also the M105 digital double channel. Because if you have only divers with mercury systems, of course, you like to be able to communicate with them. This was a long story, and it's a dry story. We are not in the pool, I cannot demo to you, but we have a lot of videos on our Ocean Reef YouTube page. One of them is the LA project. And I asked Eleonora to put the link in the comments. So if you really want to see how the underwater communications are used in real life, this is a great video. You can see divers talking to each other. You can see divers talking to the boat, from the dinghy to the boat. All options are there. So download that video or visit that location, and you will have a real good impression. In general, I told you that already a couple of times before. This is just an impression. It is a quick way of sharing information with you. But if you really want to know how everything works and where the advantages are for you to use Ocean Reef IDMs and underwater communication systems, visit your local dealer. Your local dealer absolutely has the capability for you to organize a demo, maybe even courses. Spend some time, and then I promise you, you will love the equipment and the possibility to communicate in the water. And don't be afraid that, like everybody says, oh, no, I'm going diving for my silence. Yeah, me too, the same thing. It's even not possible to have a long story underwater, sharing how excited it was yesterday, that trip of that person or the meal. No, you want to limit your information to essential information. And that's something you can do only with communication devices, only. In this way, it will increase your comfort, but also your safety. Think about it. Diving is a relatively safe sport, but problems can be pretty seriously, very quickly. And then it would be nice to say, hey guys, help me out. Okay. Cool. This brings me at the end of my presentation. And I saw there were a lot of questions coming in. And let me find my glasses. And then I'll be able to read something. Let's see. Oh, my screen is frozen. So there's definitely something wrong with my screen. I am not able to move anything. Really weird situation. I'm still talking to a black screen. I hope that the whole webinar was okay for you. And I need to make my apologies. I will answer all your questions, but I will do that after this transmission There is maybe Bix, is it possible to show me questions there? You have a backup device, phone. Okay, I have Martin here. I have Wim, Frank. Wim, nice that you're here again. Yes, everything stays on the Ocean Reef Facebook page. We don't pull it off. Maybe you have to swipe a little bit, go down. But you can look at it afterwards very easily. Of course, Jim, our friend, is there again. Hi, Jim. I will contact you soon. Okay. Mercury system is great. Sean is watching. Okay, at this moment I don't see a lot of questions. That means that it was pretty clear, all of it. Okay, so okay, I see one question that is, can we use the communication in running water? Yeah, but if it's running water with a lot of air bubbles will definitely influence on a negative way the quality of the communication. That's first. And the other thing is that it's not a big influence, but definitely if you communicate with someone downstream, it is probably a little bit better than upstream. And that's because of the mechanical vibration. But a lot of times you can see in running water, there is so much turbulation in the water that it will definitely influence your communication. You just have to try it out. I've been into pools, limited size, and there was no communication at all possible. What was the reason? There were micro bubbles. Micro bubbles. You cannot even see them, but there was so much micro bubbles in the water that actually on your dive suit, very quickly you had a layer of white bubbles, and the bubbles in the water interfered with the communication possibility. And on the other hand, we went also to very cold areas, very cold, salt water, high density, and then easily 900 feet, no problem at all. So sometimes you really don't know what is the reason. You have to try it, and that's the best advice I can give you. Yeah, line of sight is very important, but that does not mean that if you dive in murky water and you cannot see your body because the water is so the visibility is so limited by the disturbance in the water. Yeah, you cannot see your body, but still there is a line of sight, and the seeker can easily go through the murky water. Okay, a lot of positive comments about the Mercury. I'm really happy with that. Eleonora placed the link to the LA project. Just click on it, and you will get a very nice demonstration of how the units are working in real life situation. Okay, that brings me again to the end of this webinar. Unfortunately, it was the 5th webinar, the last in this sequence. I'm getting more and more familiar with the platform, not with the technology, because I'm still looking at the black screen. Probably we will inform you about some new webinars, some new topics, and if you have suggestion that you say, hey, I really like to know more and more about this typical subject, we will organize that. One thing that I forgot to show you in all the confusion, if you go to the Ocean Reef webpage, and you go to downloads, you can actually download this beautiful manual. And this beautiful manual is written by Sergio Gamberini, the president of our company, and it tells you all the technical details of wireless underwater communication. It's very detailed, but very interesting. So, underwater communication. by Sergio Camerini. Good. For now, thank you all. I hope we will meet again soon. If not on during a webinar, maybe somewhere at a new dive location. The last one I prefer more, I need to say, but you will hear from us again. Thank you so much and have a great day.
To install a G-Diver surface air valve on the G-Diver's full face mask, you're going to first remove the port plug from the right-hand port of the mask. You want to also make sure that the sealing washer is down at the bottom of that port. Next, you are going to take the G-Diver surface air valve and choose the color that you want to coordinate with your mask. We're going to go with white. You want to slide the silicone ring up to the top of the surface air valve and align the grooves with the slots in the silicone ring. Now that we have the silicone ring attached, you're going to open up the surface air valve. And now you're ready to install the surface air valve. With the G-Diver surface air valve open, you're going to screw it into the mask and then tighten securely. Now the G-Diver surface air valve is installed and it's ready for use.
Plenty of critters on this wreck if you look hard enough. Right down here is these really strange arrow, I guess they're called arrow crabs. They're pretty cool. Little guy down there.
Yeah, there are loads of those all over the wreck, little arrow crabs. They're so cute. They're like little aliens off of Mars or something. Check out the little bristle worm or some sort of worm. It's probably the wrong name for them.
Oh yeah, look at that.
There's a big arrow crab. Hang on. Do you mind if I harass the marine life a little bit?
Look at that guy. Where you at, John? Those are bizarre, I'll tell you. You don't really have to look for the biggest stuff, John. There's little stuff too that's pretty cool.
Okay, we'll put him back where he came from.
Michelle, you sound really good in that mask. It sounds good. Your voice is really clear.
I have to say, it's really comfortable, and we were talking before about how you've molded it to conform to the face, and it really, really conforms beautifully.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. We've been having some really good success with it. That's always good news, man. I hope it keeps up.
You know how you always dream when you're a kid that you can just breathe underwater and there's no encumbrances? Well, that's how it feels with this mask. And to be able to talk on top of it is fantastic.
Yeah, the nice thing about it is it really is comfortable. After you're finished your dive, you don't have any jaw fatigue, and it's just, you don't even realize you're wearing a mask after a while.
Totally don't realize it. And even the nose pieces, the way that you can adjust it, the way that you were showing me before we take diving is a real nice improvement also.
Yeah, this is the whole point. We're actually trying to make it better. As we go along, we hear people say, you know, my nose is a little bigger or a little longer. And we made that piece so that it can be adjusted. We make new molds that fit different noses.
I have to say, OTS is really on the cutting edge, and as a person who's used OTS equipment for many, many years, probably, I don't know, when was the first time I used it? When Atlantis Resort just opened, I was in the tanks there for hours and hours. I mean, that's got to be 10 years ago. This mask just keeps getting better and better.
I really appreciate your enthusiasm, Michelle. I know you're a great authority in the business. You've been around a long time and done a lot of work with different masks and different equipment, and really what you're saying goes a long way. And Rotias, we really appreciate that.
That's my pleasure. Thank you. And what a great day in the Bahamas it is today. Look at all these sharks.
Great day in Bahamas. Before I run out of air, I want to go have more fun. How about you?
Absolutely. We should probably head out.